Very well, mate. Very well. How are you, David?
Not too bad. You guys want to...
Smashing it. Yep.
Hey, Tim, this side.
And power us on there, sorry.
Just pick a spot in the middle and...
Oh, yeah.
Sarah?
Check
How's that for
Keep
natural
it
light?
on that mic. Sorry, mate. Turn that mic on.
Is ours on too there, son?
Audio level testing 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Cool.
Let me know when you're good to go. Gordo, you good to go? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, rolling.
Well, it's day 3 of our small and family business budget blitz, and it's great to be in Caloundra. Today we have people on the sunny coast, we have people in Bleijie on the Gold Coast, Atherton Tablelands, Cairns, Mount Isa, Boulia, Gladstone. There's probably another few places, but there's a good start. And we're doing it because small and family business needs to know that we've got their back. And we want to highlight that the budget was an opportunity to provide for these businesses, and we believe the government didn't hit the mark. So things like infrastructure delivery on the Sunshine Coast, and Jarrod will explain, and Fiona will explain in a moment about the fall in infrastructure spending. We believe that the health system here on the sunny coast, where 50% of ambulances are ramped, that needs a shot in the arm, and it didn't get it. So there are a raft of services that people on the sunny coast are being let down, and that impacts small and family business. But today we are announcing what we believe is a way forward to provide confidence and certainty for small business during periods of lockdowns. And we've looked across the globe and we've looked across the nation, and we believe there is a better way when it comes to giving business that support. So what does that look like? Well, that looks like providing certainty. So if a business goes into lockdown, if they have to make a sacrifice for the greater health, and they're prepared to do that, business needs to know that the government can support them in that regard. If they are a venue where there has been somebody who's there with COVID, the government should assist in that deep clean so that the community can have the confidence to get back on their feet and that the business doesn't have to carry that cost. And we would also like to see an underwriting of events so that when people are choosing where to hold events, they look to Queensland in the knowledge that there will be a little bit of underwriting if things go wrong. Now, this is a way of providing certainty. And this is a way of making sure that people want to invest in Queensland, small and family business people running events. If our health response is world class, if our vaccinations continue to improve and the rates go further north, we should be in a period where we have confidence in doing this. It shouldn't cost a lot of money. It's about providing certainty, and that helps drive the economy. And I'll ask Fiona as local MP and also Shadow Infrastructure spokesman to say some words.
Thanks very much, and it's great to have the Leader of the Opposition, David Crisafulli, here on the Sunshine Coast. We've seen many small businesses across Queensland, of course, who've paid a huge price in the last 18 months with the impact of lockdowns. Here on the Sunshine Coast, there are small businesses who really did it tough, and quite recently, when they were put into lockdown, they had the cost of deep clean. What we're talking about is giving certainty to small and medium-sized businesses in uncertain times. I'd be delighted if the state government would match this policy and back our small businesses and recognise they've carried the burden. And this policy is about helping them, ensuring that they have some certainty in times. If they are unfortunately put into lockdown through no fault of their own, they shouldn't be bearing that cost on their own. We're also calling on the state government to invest in infrastructure in a region like the Sunshine Coast. With the cutbacks that we've seen, that hurts all of Queensland, but it hurts an area like the Sunshine Coast to have $4 billion cut out of the state budget over the next 4 years. We need that as an investment here on the Sunshine Coast and Queensland to ensure that, once again, small, medium-sized businesses and people's livability is protected. And I'll hand over to Jarrod.
Thanks, Fiona. Jarrod, Bleijie, local member for Fiona, Shadow Minister for Finance. Great to have the opposition leader on the Sunshine Coast today. In response to the budget, as our shadow ministers are travelling around Queensland, I say this is a budget of missed opportunities. This is a budget of missed opportunities, particularly for the Sunshine Coast community. Where are the infrastructure projects we've been calling for years for the Labor government to deliver? Whether it's in the health space, whether if it's in the road space, whether it's in the rail space, we've completely missed out. Treasurer Dick has a habit of standing up, giving all these glossy brochures. But the reality is the glossy brochures and the big names that he's coming up with, for instance, the Hospital Building Fund, $2 billion fund with $0 attached to it. $0 for new hospital beds, $0 for new hospitals across Queensland, despite the fact they get up in Brisbane and they say that it's a new fund, new money. Well, the reality is now there's no money in the Hospital Building Fund, there's no money in the Hospital Building Fund for the Sunshine Coast University Hospital. The other thing is the infrastructure. It's clear in the budget they handed down in December last year, there was $56 billion capital investment in infrastructure proposed across Queensland. This budget handed down last week cut that by $4 billion to $52 billion. Which projects have missed out across Queensland? Which projects have missed out on infrastructure across the Sunshine Coast? So whether it's in the health space, whether it's in the law and order space, for goodness sake, this budget had no money to fix the issues of law and order across Queensland. No money to bring back breach of bail as an offence. The Leader of the Opposition tabled a petition in Parliament last week signed by 18,000 Queenslanders to bring back breach of bail as an offence. The government have done nothing in the space, nothing in the budget. So again, a budget of missed opportunities, whether it's in the law and order space, the crime space, protecting Queenslanders, hospital space, ambulance ramping. 50% ambulance ramping at the Sunshine Coast University Hospital. Statewide average, 40% ambulance ramping. It's not good enough, and I know the Treasurer is going to be in town tomorrow. It's not good enough for him to come to town with his glossy brochures with the budget that he's delivered of missed opportunities.
Over to you for questions.
David, sorry, I just wanted to start in Caloundra today, which obviously the seat changed hands for the first time in years last election. How do you go back to win the trust of people in Caloundra? You know, how does it, I guess, the grassroots LNP members and here, how do they play that?
By being a diligent and effective opposition, and that looks like saying when something's good and giving an alternative when something's not up to scratch. And the policy today is proof of that. We're not saying to the government anything other than giving what we believe are good positive suggestions. So what does that look like? That looks like giving business the confidence and the certainty. That's what good, effective opposition looks like. And we're going to go throughout Queensland and earn the trust of people and hold the government to account, have some wins in opposition, and in 3 and a bit years' time, we're going to be a fresh and viable alternative. And we intend to win, and we intend to win well and win generationally, because that's what Queensland needs. And what does it mean? What does it look like? It looks like an economy that provides for everybody, those who are fortunate, those who aren't fortunate. A government that's focused on service delivery, so when you pick up the phone, an ambulance comes and it's not waiting at a ramp at the end of the hospital. When you know that you need a copper, they're going to turn up and they're going to have the laws to protect them. You're not going to be stuck in traffic every day going to work. And during the work day, you can get to and from your business and get those goods and services. And there's going to be adequate supply of housing so that your kids can get somewhere to live. It looks like a government that focuses on the things that matter to people and conduct themselves in a way that you can be proud of. That's what we will do. And we will earn the trust of Queenslanders every day until that point and hold the government to account in the meantime.
David, we're here talking about giving each other the arm to small businesses, but the government's saying close the border to Greater Sydney. Is this just another blow for Sunshine Coast businesses?
We will accept health advice. What we'll also do is put forward clear alternatives. And what I want to see is when a decision is taken for the greater health good, that it's not left to business to carry the can. It's certainty in uncertain times. And that's all business is asking for. Now, I'm not suggesting for one moment that it's about government writing blank cheques. It's about government saying to business, we've got your back. And at the moment, that's not the case. Small and medium business, small and family business seems to be the forgotten element of our economy. And they're the backbone of it. And we are the party of those people and the people that they employ. And policies like today give them a little bit of certainty to be able to know they can invest and they can grow and they can give people a job. And while we want to see Queensland thrive on the back of them.
David, what sort of fence, I noticed in the media release you said you'd sort of reimburse profits or something like that. It's something to those words. How do you put a fence around that and how do you make sure that that's
great question. And different jurisdictions have done it differently. Some jurisdictions have had up to a certain amount, a couple of $1,000s, for example. Others have done it on a percentage, and we'll work with the government for that to occur. But three pretty simple safety nets. One is, if you are a business and you've got a weekend event coming up and you buy a whole heap of perishables, it's just the knowledge that if something goes wrong, if a decision is taken for the greater good, that a portion of those costs will be covered. If you are somebody looking to have a major event, it's the knowledge that if you go forward and you book the venue and you start gearing up, if a decision is taken that prevents you doing that, that a portion of your costs are covered. It looks like if you are a venue that has a COVID positive case that comes in, that someone's got your back to help you provide a quick and decisive clean to be able to get your business back up on its feet. Now, if we are serious and if we are confident about the quality of our quarantining, our vaccinations, this is something that's not going to need to be used.
David, just in regards to COVID and your calls for a lockdown support package,
Yeah.
what about the tourism operators who are now missing out on the school holiday boom
Yeah.
in New South Wales and part of New
We're not. We don't want to pick winners and losers. We want to have a system that prevents small businesses falling through the cracks. And whether that's tourism, whether that's hospitality, whether that's events, this can be done in a way that gives people the confidence. And what happens is, if a business knows that a government is there to provide a safety net, if a decision is taken for the greater good, that everybody wears a bit of pain, that's what a good safety net looks like. And I think that's the difference between somebody being willing to stand up and create a small business or not. I think that's the difference between somebody having an event in another part of the country or doing it here. That means jobs, that means economic uplift, and these things pay for themselves many times over by the confidence you give business. So we're not picking winners and losers. We will work with the government as to how big the fund is, what industries, when they kick in. All of those things in our mind are good, effective policies, and different states do it differently. But we're not doing it at all. And we think it's time for the government to step up and tell small and family business that they matter.
David?
What should the government be doing with these people as a start, perhaps? I know you said that there's so many kind of ways they could do
Sure.
it. How should they start?
They could do it today. They could do it today to say to businesses that if you are making a decision to gear up for an event, to gear up for a big weekend, that a portion of your costs are covered. And that alone will be the difference between somebody staying in business, somebody investing in business. Business is all about certainty and confidence. And there's not a lot of certainty and confidence if a government doesn't understand small and family business. So, in absence of a bit of leadership, that's why we're here, to bring them to the table, to let them know that this is what businesses have told us. This hasn't been our idea, this has been something that's been raised with us from all corners of the state. And we continue to talk. Each and every member of Shadow Cabinet is out and about talking to people. That's what good, effective, constructive opposition looks like.
David, on confidence, obviously a lot of the issues that come up are around people in hotel quarantine.
Yeah.
And therefore, these things are happening quite ad hoc, random, when things go into lockdown. What sort of things do you think could be done to better address hotel quarantine so that those things don't happen and there is more confidence?
Well, we still don't have answers to the Grand Chancellor outbreak. And the government's answer to fix quarantining in this state is to pick it up and put it somewhere else. That to me says that one Queenslander is worth more than another, and I won't stand for that. We want to see a system of quarantine that is the best in the world. People demand that. People deserve that. Where the location is, well, that's another matter for debate at another time. Until you fix the system of quarantine, until you work out what went wrong on multiple occasions, you will continue to have these outbreaks. And we want the best quarantine system in the world. Let's debate that first, and then we talk about where and when and why.
Just on quarantine, what's your take on Queensland Health engaging debt collectors to, I think it's something like $88 million to recoup that cost of hotel quarantine?
Yeah, I haven't seen the detail of that.
David, just a question from Harvey in relation to Michael.
Yeah. Well, Ros, our Shadow Health spokesperson, is here, and she's had a direct request from the family on that. So, Ros, did you want to?
A supporter of the Killian family has written to me and asked if we would table a petition of some 40-odd thousand signatures asking for an exemption to hotel quarantine. And as a compassionate opposition, we will do that and we will give the Killian family a voice. But the ultimate decision is up to the health experts. And Ms. Bates, just a question from council in relation to them beating out the cancer group kidney transplant. What's your response?
Well, I think the government needs to release the report that determined which town actually got the kidney transplant unit. Both Cairns and Townsville have a huge Indigenous population where kidney transplant units would be beneficial, and it's really up to the government to determine and tell Queenslanders how they worked out who was going to be the winner and the loser in those cases.
Rose, I've just got a couple of questions from 7 in Coolbah. Morning presentations to emergency in the Darling Downs rose by nearly 10% in the last year. What does the opposition propose should happen to fix the problem?
Well, certainly we know that Queensland Health is losing control of our hospitals. We know that under the Bleijie government, ambulance ramping was at 30%. Under the LNP it was reduced to 15%, and now under Anastasia Palaszczuk it's up to 40%. The only reason that ambulances ramp at a hospital is because there's no beds in the hospital. There needs to be better management of beds so that patients are discharged to enable new patients to come in. We've also announced real-time monitoring in our hospitals so that doctors and patients can see what the wait lists are. We need to make sure that we've got better triaging, more triage nurses for front and back of house, clinical initiative nurses to keep an eye on the Category 5 patients in the waiting room, and be more open, honest and transparent with our data.
And nearly half of all people with potentially life-threatening injuries were also not seen within the recommended time frame. Should the state government be doing more to combat this?
Well, the state government is losing control of health. We know that. We're seeing it in every one of our hospitals across the state. It's not good enough. The empty $2 billion promise in the budget puts no new beds in. We've had the Australian Medical Association of Queensland coming out saying we need up to 1,500 beds. Where is the government's plan for the next 4 years?
Well, that is going to be
So the